When Jining discovered that strand of long hair, she was ironing the shirts Zhang Sudong had brought back from his business trip. The shirts had already been dry cleaned at the hotel but were still crumpled inside the suitcase. Tied into a small butterfly knot on the second button of the shirt's chest was a long hair, gleaming with a chestnut hue under the sunlight. That was where the heart lay. That was a declaration of war from another woman. Jining set down the iron, her wrist trembling slightly. She took a few steps back and sat on the sofa, taking deep breaths in an attempt to control her racing heartbeat. It was difficult to discern what kind of feeling it was: anger, shame, and a bit of inexplicable excitement. Jining picked up her phone and opened Zhang Sudong's WeChat. The chat log was still from yesterday. "Xiao Ning, I'm on the plane now. Everything is going smoothly, don't worry." Zhang Sudong had always been steady and thoughtful, making it difficult to find fault with him. It was precisely this trait that had caught her father's eye and led to their match. There was a new update on his moments, his new subordinate at the company, also his junior sister, Chao Wenwen. In the photo, she was tilting her head back with a sweet smile, covering her eyes with a man's hand. The caption read, "Love is like a terminal illness, leaving me unrecognizable." Jining stared at the distinct knuckles of the hand. A scent of scorched fabric wafted over, and she hurriedly got up to grab the iron. On the pristine white shirt was a dark yellow burn mark. She stood still for a moment, then put the iron back down, staring fixedly as the mark slowly expanded, turning black, with no chance of salvage. Jining had been married for 6 years, from 25 to 31. She was considered an old maid, having lost her mother at a young age. She was quiet and reserved, often lost in her own thoughts. While not particularly talented academically, she excelled in household chores, cooking, sewing, gardening, cleaning. Everything flowed effortlessly under her hands. Zhang Sudong had been a favorite student of Jining's father, often visiting their home for meals and discussions. Impressed by his simplicity and reliability, as well as his outstanding talent, Jining's father had pushed for this marriage, hoping he could provide his daughter with a stable and smooth life. In their early 20s, one beautiful and quiet, the other gentle and refined, their relationship seemed destined. After Zhang Sudong obtained his PhD, they got married. In the first few years of marriage, Jining took care of her sick father and paralyzed mother-in-law, followed by reaching the age to conceive. Zhang Sudong suggested she not work for the time being and focus on having a child since his income was substantial and the family was financially secure. He made sense. He always made sense. Jining could only comply. As the sun began to set, Jining sent Zhang Sudong a message. "Let's have dinner together tonight. I've made soup." She rarely spoke to him in such a direct manner. Zhang Sudong quickly replied, "Okay, I'll be home after the meeting." Jining waited at the table with a meal until late into the night, absent-mindedly scrolling through her phone. At 11 o'clock, she saw a new post from Chao Wenwen on Moments. Her face flushed, her gaze unfocused as she looked past the man's bare arm in the photo and towards the camera. The caption read, "Breakup gift. The first and last orgasm." The muscular lines on the man's arm were unmistakably familiar to Jining. She threw her phone and rushed to the bathroom, a bout of violent retching overtaking her. Zhang Sudong returned home at 3 in the morning, and Jining had already gone to bed. The dining room and kitchen were as spotless as ever. After a quick wash, Zhang Sudong got into bed, leaned over to kiss Jining apologetically on the forehead, and soon fell asleep. Jining opened her eyes and quietly watched the faint light outside the window until dawn. As dawn broke, Jining went to the hospital. The examination was finished by 8 o'clock, and as she walked out of the hospital gates, the doctor's masked face kept flashing in her mind. "For weeks pregnant, what will you do? What will you do? What will you do?" She had been preparing for this child for 2 years. He was supposed to be a much-awaited gift, yet for a moment, she felt the urge to give up. Jining numbly walked into the subway station, which was crowded with commuters during the morning rush hour. A tall and slender young man was speaking to the station staff. "Could you please help me? I'm in a hurry, and the roads are jammed. I didn't expect that this subway station doesn't accept mobile payments. Could you help me, and I'll transfer the money to you via Alipay? The staff member walked past indifferently. We're not allowed to carry cash while on duty. Try asking someone else. The young man, probably 25 or 26 years old, was polite and refined, showing no signs of resentment when rejected. There was a hint of embarrassment and self-deprecation in his smile, sweat beading on his forehead as he turned to look at the passing pedestrians, at a loss. Only Jining wasn't in a rush. She was lost in thought, and her gaze met his. The young man glanced at her for a moment, then quickly walked over, his expression sincere yet embarrassed. Excuse me, I don't have any cash on me, and I can't use my phone to pay here. Could you lend me 10 yuan in cash, and I'll transfer it to you via my phone? The subway station's broadcast happened to be playing a safety reminder. Beware of recent scams where criminals ask to borrow money for road tolls and then attempt to swindle you using mobile transfers. Please be vigilant and avoid falling victim to scams. The young man's fair face flushed instantly, and he fumbled in his pockets. I'm not a scammer. My name is Cheng Yanchuan from the Institute of Engineering Design. Here's my work ID. Jining took out a 10 yuan banknote from her bag and wordlessly handed it to him. The young man hesitated for a moment, his eyes sparkling suddenly. He quickly took out his phone. Thank you. Thank you. How do I transfer the money to you? Alipay or WeChat? Jining shook her head. No need. How can that be? Let me transfer it to you. It'll be quick. Jining smiled faintly. If I ever need help one day, I hope someone will lend a hand to me too. Aren't you in a hurry? Go ahead. Her smile was gentle, with a subtle hint of sadness in her eyes. Cheng Yanchuan stared blankly at her disappearing figure in the subway, only snapping out of his daze after a while, hurriedly turning to buy a ticket. Zhang Sudong woke up close to 10 o'clock, jumping up in surprise. Xiao Ning, why didn't you wake me up? I have a meeting this morning. There was no aroma of breakfast in the house. Jining sat at the table. I've already called your company. Don't go to work this morning. Let's handle some formalities. She looked calmly at Zhang Sudong. Let's get divorced. Zhang Sudong was dumbfounded, his brain still groggy from just waking up. What divorce? What are you talking about? Jining pushed her phone screen towards him, showing the bed photo from Chao Wenwen's Moments. The resolution was high, and when zoomed in, the mole on Zhang Sudong's back was clearly visible. Zhang Sudong stared at his phone, his face flushing red, his throat swallowing incessantly. He pushed the phone aside, got up, and crouched in front of her, grabbing her hand. Xiao Ning, listen to me. It's not what you think. She was very persistent, and last time on the business trip, I drank too much and somehow fell into her trap. She threatened me, saying last night would be the last time. I've made it clear to her. There will be no more involvement between us. Sudong, I know very well what you look like when you're drunk. Blaming it on alcohol is just a self-deceiving excuse. Jining looked at him steadfastly. If I hadn't found out, would there have been many more last times between you two? Zhang Sudong's face turned pale, and he was speechless. Jining shook her head and stood up. I've taken all the necessary documents. Let's part ways amicably. Zhang Sudong stood up and grabbed her arm, his chest heaving. Jining, I just made a little mistake. All men have their flaws. Sometimes I also wish for a woman to be more passionate in front of me, to be more affectionate, to make me feel needed and admired, instead of always being perfect and calm like a mannequin. There was a somewhat incredulous smile in Jining's eyes. I've been like this since the day you met me. You even said you liked that I was different from other girls. Her smile faded. Sudong, it's understandable if you want a change in taste. But you can't be too greedy, expecting to have it all. Zhang Sudong realized too late that things were irreparable. His gaze was filled with pain and despair, and he hugged her tightly, speaking nervously to himself. I didn't want a change in taste. I don't want a divorce. Jining, I disagree. Jining gently pushed his arms away. When you were making your little mistake, you didn't ask for my consent. Zhang Sudong, you know I have cleanliness habits. Zhang Sudong's arms dropped stiffly, and his blood ran cold. Jining picked up her suitcase and started to leave. Zhang Sudong swept the teacups off the table, his voice hoarse. Where are you going without even a place to stay? What can you do without a job or any skills? Besides taking care of people and doing housework, what else can you do? You're living a good life, yet you want a divorce. If your father were still alive, would he allow you to act like this? The room fell into a suffocating silence. Jining slowly turned around, her gaze icy. Are you even worthy to mention my father? Disagree? Then let's settle this in court. Jui's father sold his old house and used part of the money to pay the down payment for the new house for the young couple, while the rest went into buying a small courtyard in a spa town on the outskirts. Unfortunately, he never got to live there, passing away shortly after. Jining stayed in a hotel and hired a lawyer to handle the divorce proceedings. She only wanted a quick divorce, without dividing the shared assets, as long as she could keep the house her father left behind. 2 weeks later, after coming out of the hospital from her B ultrasound, a car slowly approached her. The window rolled down. Miss Ji. It was Meng Jun, the boss of Zhang Sudong's company, whom she had met briefly at a banquet. Mr. Meng. Jining nodded, intending to walk away quickly, but the car continued to follow her. Where are you going, Miss Ji? Let me give you a ride. Without waiting for Jining's answer, Meng Jun added, we can't stay here for long, get in the car first. Feeling a slight ache in her lower abdomen, Jining hesitated for a moment before getting into the car. Why didn't Miss Ji come to yesterday's annual meeting? Meng Jun's gaze was forward, his tone friendly and familiar, like that of an old friend. He was 36 years old, in the prime of his mature charm, every glance carrying deep meaning, every smile hiding ambiguity. Jining smiled lightly, but didn't speak. The car stopped at the hotel entrance, and Meng Jun wasn't surprised that she wasn't going home. Jining pushed the door open. Thank you, Mr. Meng, for the trouble. Miss Ji. Meng Jun smiled as he looked at her through the car window. Can I have your contact information? Jining hesitated, but she owed him a favor and didn't want to make things awkward by refusing outright. So, she slowly recited a string of numbers. Meng Jun dialed the number, only hanging up when he heard her phone ring. Miss Ji looks a lot like my sister in the US. If you need anything in the future, feel free to contact me. With that, he drove away, leaving Jining standing there feeling a bit confused. Shortly after, she received a call from her lawyer. Miss Ji, Mr. Zhang doesn't agree to your property request. He believes the cottage belongs to your father's inheritance and should be split as shared property. Jining held the phone, her fingers trembling with cold laughter. Zhang Sudong wanted to push her into a corner, make her retreat, and submit obediently. Trembling, she sent a WeChat message to Zhang Sudong, one with the early pregnancy ultrasound report and the other with the abortion surgery record. This child once existed in this world, but now he's gone. You should understand how much I wanted to sever ties with you. Soon, Zhang Sudong called. His voice was hysterical, angry to the extreme and pain to the extreme. Jining, you heartless woman. You executioner. That was our child. How could you? How could you be so heartless? He cried until he couldn't speak. 3 days later, the two of them finalized their divorce. Jining obtained her father's cottage, and Zhang Sudong transferred the down payment given by Ji's father to her. Jining walked towards the bus stop, while Zhang Sudong stood by the car smoking, his eyes red and his gaze dim. Jining, don't act so superior. You're ruthless and unforgiving in relationships, unwilling to compromise or fight for them. In this marriage, neither of us owes anything to the other. We're even now. Jining stopped and walked back to him. Before we got married, I told you that except for betrayal and deception, I would face and solve all the problems in our marriage with you. But if I find out you're lying to me, I won't hesitate to leave. Zhang Sudong, my lack of contention is my way of fighting. I thought you knew that long ago. I once dressed the way you liked, cultivated a personality you admired, did the housework, accompanied you to social events, took care of your parents, and helped you take care of your health. Jining smiled. Don't try to find balance. As for this marriage, I have a clear conscience. The cigarette in Zhang Sudong's mouth fell to the ground, his face a picture of defeat. Jining turned and walked away, the wind drying the tears in her eyes. She was indeed ruthless, especially to herself. Only she knew what the breakdown of this marriage meant to her, how the hints of betrayal from her spouse had pierced through her emotions and self-esteem during every painful night and day. At the Public Security Bureau Household Registration Office, the policewoman's tone was businesslike. Children born out of wedlock can be registered under the mother's name, but you need to provide paternity testing with the biological father. Ji Ning stood still for a long time, letting out a bitter laugh. It turned out that giving a child legal identity required more than just the mother who gave birth to him. She took out her phone, hesitating over the conversation box with Zhang Sudong. She really didn't want to have any more entanglements with him. As she hesitated, Chao Wenwen posted a new WeChat moment, a picture of a pregnancy test stick with 2 red lines. "I will never give up on you, my baby." At Zhang Sudong, Ji Ning raised her head, looking at the gray-blue winter sky, and smiled through her tears. She liked that moment and then blocked both of them, wrapping her coat tightly around her and walking briskly into the wind. There's nothing that can stop a determined woman, especially when that woman has become a mother. At Fate Complete, offline dating agency, Ji Ning sat at a table filling out forms attentively. When a clear male voice sounded, "It's you." Ji Ning instinctively looked up. A young man sat down next to her, his smile eager, his eyes bright. "I'm the one who borrowed money from you at the subway station. Cheng Yanchuan." Ji Ning smiled. "Hello, what a coincidence." Cheng Yanchuan, somewhat awkwardly excited, looked at her and then at her form. "Your name is Yining." Ji Ning nodded absent-mindedly, continuing to write. "I never thought I'd meet you here." His surprise was evident. Ji Ning glanced at him. "I'm here to try my luck, see if I can find a girl to take home to meet my grandmother." Cheng Yanchuan's face showed the nervousness of a young man in front of a girl he likes, constantly talking. "My grandmother doesn't want me to go to Tibet for projects, afraid it will delay my life." I want to reassure her. Ji Ning felt a fondness for this pure and clear young man, somewhat like a younger brother. She casually remarked, "With your talents, why come here?" Cheng Yanchuan blushed slightly, smiling shyly. "I'm a design geek, spending the whole year at construction sites, hardly meeting any girls. Are you looking for a boyfriend here?" Ji Ning shook her head. "I'm looking for a marriage partner." A matchmaker approached, chatting with Ji Ning. Her situation was too special, and the matchmaker looked troubled. As expected, Ji Ning asked her to keep an eye out for suitable candidates and got up to leave. Cheng Yanchuan caught up, hesitating for a moment, his eyes sincere and focused. "Ji Ning, can I?" Ji Ning was taken aback, laughing softly. "I'm 31, divorced, with a 6-year marriage history and currently 7 weeks pregnant. I'm looking for someone to marry me just to register the child, and then we'll go our separate ways. Do you think, can you take a woman like me to meet your grandmother?" Cheng Yanchuan stood dumbfounded, and Ji Ning left with a smile. Just as Ji Ning opened the door of the taxi, she heard Cheng Yanchuan's voice, full of desperate courage. "I can do it, Ji Ning. Since it's needed, just let me do it. Consider it as repaying a favor." Ji Ning turned back to look at him for a moment and shook her head. "Thank you," she said, then got into the taxi. As the car drove away, she silently watched the young and upright figure in the rearview mirror. There are always some warm and sincere people that make one reluctant to leave this world. Back at the hotel entrance, Meng Jun stood by the car smoking. When he saw her put out her cigarette and approached him, he said, "Let me take you out for dinner. Since you're not giving me face, I'll just wait here." Ji Ning didn't have the energy to deal with meaningless people. "Thank you, Mr. Meng. Zhang Sudong and I have separated. You don't need to entertain me anymore. I've always been looking for Miss Ji, not Mrs. Zhang," Meng Jun said casually. Chao Wenwen is indeed quite skillful. It's not in vain that I paid her a high salary to come over. Ji Ning was shocked and quickly turned back. "You don't need to glare at me like that. They're like 2 flammable substances, and I'm just creating a condition," Meng Jun said calmly. "I've long admired Miss Ji, and I just can't bear to see you being misled." Ji Ning quickly understood the cause and effect, sneering repeatedly. "Do you think you're very capable? Like a savior? But I just find it disgusting. Who gave you the right to manipulate someone else's life?" Meng Jun squinted at her with a hint of greed in his eyes. Jining was furious, her voice trembling. I hate people who play tricks the most, and I try to avoid them in my life at all costs. Mr. Meng, please watch your words and actions, or I'll sue you for harassment. A few days later, Jining moved into the cottage in the hot spring town. At that time, Ji's father planned to retire here. The house was well equipped, with a small courtyard containing stone tables, stone stools, and a grapevine. The weather had warmed up. Jining leisurely cleaned up the house and brewed a pot of herbal tea to sit in the courtyard and drink. What's that delicious smell? An old lady, thin and small, stood at the door with a cane. Jining stood up. Are you? The old lady stared at the purple-red tea on her table. Your neighbor. Can I taste your tea? Jining came back to her senses and quickly poured a cup and handed it over. Please have a seat and enjoy. I just moved in and haven't had a chance to visit the neighbors yet. The fruit tea was sweet and fragrant, and the old lady closed her eyes contentedly. Granny, I'm back. Where did you go? Cheng Yanchuan walked past the door, looked into the courtyard, and froze in surprise. Jining rubbed her forehead. The world was indeed small. The aroma of chicken soup wafted through the courtyard. That evening, the old lady ate dinner at Jining's house and brought her grandson along. Cheng Yanchuan was the second son of the Cheng family. When he was young, his parents were busy with their business, so he was left with his grandmother. They depended on each other for more than 10 years. His grandmother didn't like the villa and insisted on staying in the old house. Unable to persuade her, his parents had no choice but to ask Cheng Yanchuan to take care of her often. Jining made sure to have rich and nutritious meals every day to supplement her nutrition. The old lady became addicted to joining her for meals, almost coming over every day. People get like children when they age, so Cheng Yanchuan felt embarrassed. Jining waved her hand. Let Granny come and eat. Her presence motivates me to cook. Otherwise, with my current appetite, even the most lavish feast would taste like wax. As a small town, the hot spring town had outsiders coming in, and being pregnant, the neighborhood committee had to check. Jining was a bit confused. I thought we don't need a birth permit now. I haven't applied for one. The staff member took out a form. You still need to fill out the registration form, and we need to verify the father's identity. Jining filled out the form, saw off the staff, and sat at the table lost in thought. Cheng Yanchuan overheard the conversation at the door and walked in. I heard from my colleagues that many places require a marriage certificate during the childbirth process. It's not a solution to keep stalling like this. He sounded a bit cautious. I'll be going to Tibet in a while. If we get married, could you help take care of my grandma for me? Consider it doing me a favor, okay? Jining sighed softly and said, getting married means you'll have a marital history, and it might bother you when you look for a girlfriend in the future. Cheng Yanchuan smiled. Would it bother you if it were you? Jining felt helpless. Of course not. Then it's settled. Cheng Yanchuan looked at her and said softly, there will always be someone who doesn't mind. During the Lantern Festival, they officially registered their marriage. Cheng Yanchuan was busy with work and couldn't come back often. Jining felt grateful, so while her pregnancy symptoms weren't too obvious, she meticulously prepared food for the old lady every day. Her small courtyard was clean and elegant. The old lady often invited nearby elderly friends over for tea and card games, making their days quite enjoyable. For the past few months, Cheng Yanchuan had been fully devoted to designing the plans for the Tibet Ali Cosmic Ray Observatory. Due to the terrain, this project was very challenging and posed considerable difficulties. He had worked tirelessly for over a month and finally completed the design, waiting only for the evaluation. After taking a few days off to accompany his grandmother, he took Jining to nearby farms to pick strawberries. The fresh strawberries, like small lanterns, were nestled among the lush green leaves, tempting anyone who laid eyes on them. Cheng Yanchuan picked out the biggest and most beautiful one, rinsed it clean under the water pipe, and offered it to Jining. Jining reached out to take it, but he shook his head. Your hands have dirt on them. Just eat it directly. Feeling very tempted, Jining had no choice but to take a bite from his hand. The strawberry was too big, so she only managed to bite the tip. Chang Yanchuan naturally put the remaining half into his mouth. Seeing Ji Ning glaring at him, he smiled. The tip is the sweetest. The bottom part isn't as good. Let me wash another one for you. I'm not eating anymore. Ji Ning turned and walked away. The soil was damp, and a fat earthworm wriggled out. Ji Ning was terrified of them, her hair standing on end, and she almost slipped in the mud. In his panic, Cheng Yanchuan reached out and caught her, his hand touching a soft and plump area through her sweater. Both of them blushed and quickly moved apart. There are earthworms over there too. Cheng Yanchuan pointed back. I'll walk with my eyes closed. Then you'll probably step on one. Cheng Yanchuan said slowly. Ji Ning felt frustrated, furrowing her brow and glaring at him. Cheng Yanchuan crouched down. Let me carry you. After weighing the options, Ji Ning climbed onto his back, feeling annoyed. Yi Ning yi. Cheng Yanchuan hesitated, taking slow steps. No. Ji Ning knew what he was about to ask, quickly rejecting the idea. Why? He stopped. You're 6 years younger than me. Just because of that? He seemed to let out a breath. Isn't that enough? Are you saying there's nothing wrong with me as a person? His focus was indeed peculiar, leaving Ji Ning speechless. Cheng Yanchuan cheered up, walking back quickly. As he escorted Ji Ning back to her courtyard, he grabbed her hand. Next week, my design proposal will be evaluated. If I'm chosen, will you give me a chance as a reward? Just consider it a favor for me, okay? I only need one chance. If you feel that I haven't performed well enough to entrust me with a lifetime, you can kick me out whenever the baby is born, okay? On a spring evening, with the gentle breeze and the young man's eyes sparkling like the first stars in the sky, Ji Ning couldn't find the words to refuse, looking at his face full of smiles as he retreated playfully. Ji Ning went to the city center to buy a maternity bag and unexpectedly ran into Meng Jun. She stood on the roadside, pretending not to see him. Come on, I'll give you a ride. Meng Jun looked at her through the car window. Ji Ning walked forward without turning back. That young boy isn't suitable for you. This guy was like a lingering ghost, a pervert. Ji Ning turned around, glaring at him with fiery eyes. Meng Yun smiled. Do you really want to go through another failed marriage with that kid? He has time to make mistakes, do you? Ji Ning was infuriated, mocking him with a smile. This is my business. Money can't buy my willingness. Meng Jun narrowed his eyes. A naive kid, not even fully grown up. What's good about him? Only someone like me, who has experienced everything, is tired of all the flashy things, can appreciate your value and cherish you. Ji Ning walked past him, looking at his face with a mocking smile. Who told you that a prodigal son's return is more precious than an innocent heart? You say he's naive, but I think he's 100 times cleaner than you. With that, she sat in the taxi and left. The day of the evaluation was on a Monday. Ji Ning knew that Cheng Yanchuan had poured his heart and soul into that drawing. She held her phone tightly, not wanting to miss his good news. Cheng's grandmother smiled and glanced at her, teasing while biting into a strawberry cake. You said you don't like my grandson, but look at how anxious you are. Ji Ning blushed and smiled awkwardly. She originally thought she wouldn't be able to get past Cheng's grandmother, but she didn't expect Cheng Yanchuan to have already confided everything to his grandmother, who happily accepted Ji Ning as her daughter-in-law. During dinner, Cheng Yanchuan came back, his eyes somewhat downcast, but still wearing a gentle smile. His grandmother noticed her grandson's low spirits and quickly urged them to go out for a walk. As they walked to the town center square, Cheng Yanchuan sighed with a tinge of regret. I didn't make it. My efforts weren't enough. Ji Ning felt sorry for him and comforted him softly. You'll have another chance next time. You're so young. There will be plenty of opportunities. Cheng Yanchuan looked at her and smiled. I don't know if I feel worse about not making it or about not getting your reward. Ji Ning paused, lowering her head in silence. The two walked in silence for a while. Even if you didn't make it, there might still be an encouragement award, Ji Ning said softly. It took Cheng Yanchuan a moment to react. He looked up at her in disbelief. Ji Ning smiled. I don't know if I feel worse about you not making it or about not being able to give you a chance. Before Ji Ning could finish her sentence, Cheng Yanchuan pulled her into his arms. too surprised to say anything, just holding her tightly. His previous disappointment and melancholy vanished, replaced by joy as if he were a child. The big screen in the square happened to be playing a lively advertising song, and he spontaneously danced a little jazz. Jining covered her face with her hands, wanting to move away, pretending not to know him, but he kept circling around her, drawing the admiring gazes of many young girls. As the night fell, the big screen played a soothing lullaby. Chang Yanchuan gently held Jining, his arm around her waist, swaying with the melody. He said he would go to Tianjin next week for a project, then try not to go out of town as much, staying home to accompany her through the birth. He said he would find a time next month to take her home to meet his parents and his brother's family. He said he would get a new bed, the height matching the baby crib Jining bought, so they could be placed together to take care of the baby. His palm rested on her bulging belly, planting a kiss on her forehead, murmuring softly, "It's so good, big or small. They are all mine." Jining closed her eyes, leaning her forehead against his chest, her eyes slightly moist. For that fleeting moment, she truly felt like she had touched the shape of happiness once again. Chang Yanchuan went to Tianjin. His grandmother went to visit her eldest grandson's family to see her great-grandson, who had just turned 1 month old. Jining went to the hospital for a checkup, holding a list of items for the hospital stay, ticking and crossing items off. The phone rang. A gentle voice of an elderly woman came through. "Hello, Jining. I'm Chang Yanchuan's mother. What was meant to happen will eventually happen." Jining took a deep breath. The two arranged to meet at a tea house near the hospital. Cheng's mother's gaze passed over her belly, and after a moment of contemplation, she spoke gently. "Xiaoji, Xiao Chuan says you're a good girl, and I believe my son. So, I came here today to meet you. Xiao Chuan has been away from us since he was little, following his grandmother and enduring a lot of hardship. His father and I both feel indebted to him. When he was 9 years old in the winter, his grandmother burned coal in the stove, and they both suffered carbon monoxide poisoning. Xiao Chuan wet his pants and stumbled as he carried his grandmother to the clinic, with ice forming in his trousers. Cheng's mother's tears welled up in her eyes. Later, he went to university to study design and often stayed up drawing until midnight. While his brother's business prospered, he refused to have any part in it, saying a man should rely on himself. He spent his days on construction sites, eating boxed meals and sleeping in makeshift shelters. Cheng's mother became more and more agitated as she spoke, tears streaming down her face. "Xiaoji, now that you've become a mother, you should understand my feelings. I want my son to find a simple and virtuous girl, someone who can lead a stable and trouble-free life, without any marital complications or hardships. Even if you're a few years older than him, or even if you don't have children, I will accept you." Jining listened quietly, her face pale. Cheng's mother wiped her eyes and continued, "I'm not trying to force you. If you two insist on being together, I won't be able to do anything about it. I just want to ask, are you unable to live without him?" The private room fell silent, and after a moment, Cheng's mother calmed down and gave Jining some advice for pregnant women before leaving with an apologetic expression. Jining crumpled the tissue in her hand, the words, "unable to live without him," echoing in her ears. What did it mean to be unable to live without him? Jining smilet bitterly. Who couldn't live without whom? She wasn't afraid of arrogant and domineering socialites, nor was she prepared to be scolded and criticized by others. But the tears of a kind mother made her feel defenseless. Her phone rang a few times. It was a message from Meng Jun. Jining glanced at it, her expression suddenly changing. Cheng Yanchuan's design was originally ranked first. "Unfortunately, I am the representative of the general contractor and have veto power. You see, when you're with a man who isn't strong enough, you're constantly at the mercy of others." Jining felt like she had been struck by lightning, a sharp pain piercing her heart. Cheng's mother was right. She had indeed brought difficulties and hardships into Cheng Yanchuan's life. All his hard work, talent, and ideals had been in vain because of the despicable methods of someone who coveted him. Jining couldn't catch her breath, her belly feeling heavy. She struggled to make her way back to the hospital. The doctors performed an ultrasound for her, their expressions grave. Why isn't there a fetal heartbeat? Several doctors gathered around the ultrasound screen, confirming the fact that Jining's fetus had stopped developing. Jining refused to believe it. It's impossible. I'm already 6 months pregnant. How could the fetus have stopped? Doctor, please take another look. Jining underwent the induced abortion procedure and stayed in the hospital for 3 days. The doctor comforted her, explaining that there could be many reasons for fetal cessation, possibly due to chromosomal abnormalities. Returning home, Jining slowly packed away all the baby supplies, feeling a hollow ache in her heart, vast and boundless. She clutched her chest, feeling overwhelmed, and sank to her knees. Jining, have you ever, even for a moment, thought that without this child, things might be easier between you and Cheng Yanchuan? That your chances of finding happiness might be greater? Have you? Have you? Have you? She choked back tears, consumed by self-loathing, unable to contain anything else. 2 days later, Cheng Yanchuan returned. He looked around the room, seeing the changed atmosphere, and then glanced at Jining's diminished figure. Instinctively, he dropped his luggage. Ning uha tappenet. Yining smilat faintly. We lost the baby. Leave. When I'm feeling better, we'll get a divorce. Cheng Yanchuan felt a sense of panic. Jining, what are you saying? He approached her, reaching out to embrace her. You don't be too sad. I'm here for you. Jining pushed his hands away, frowning. I don't have the energy to deal with you right now. Leave, okay? Her cold attitude left Cheng Yanchuan at a loss. Jining, we lost the baby, but our feelings are still there, aren't they? Yining sneret. If it weren't for the sake of registering the child, I wouldn't even spare a glance at a little boy like you. Leave, I don't want to see you. I'm tired of you. Her look of disgust deeply hurt him. Cheng Yanchuan's face turned pale, his eyes reddening. We agreed. Why are you doing this? Jining, what do you want me to do? Is being born a few years later my original sin? Jining fell silent, then said after a moment, You're not willing, right? You feel like you've never received anything? She swiftly took off her sweater, unbuttoning her shirt one by one, looking at him with a gentle smile. After experiencing it once, you'll know. It's just that. Her white chest was exposed. Cheng Yanchuan had never seen her so resolute and cold. He was completely flustered, hurriedly wrapping her in a blanket, his eyes filled with despair, his voice nasal. Please don't do this. I didn't mean it. I'll leave right away. This action finally made Cheng Yanchuan believe that she didn't love him. There was never any possibility between them. He turned around in a panic, then stopped at the door, turning back to look at her once more before stumbling out. After a while, the harsh screech of brakes and the furious shouts of a driver echoed from the street outside. Yining's hit notears. She felt like she was burning up, her emotions fluctuating between hot and cold. She sat in the darkness until late at night, then got up and went to the kitchen. The chicken soup she had simmered in the afternoon had cooled down. She reheated it and forced herself to take big gulps, but her stomach, empty all day, couldn't handle it, and she soon vomited. She rushed to the bathroom, vomiting until she felt dizzy and disoriented. Tears streamed down Jining's face. Zhang Sudong and Meng Jun had both used any means necessary to win her over, disregarding her feelings. But driving Cheng Yanchuan away only required her to make a gesture that hurt herself. Faced with such a pure and sincere young man, she felt so broken, so ashamed of herself. Jining put the house up for sale through a real estate agency and moved back to the city. Meng Jun found her rental house and blocked her at the door. Jining, you're smart. Don't get stuck in a dead end. Come with me, and I'll give you what you want, including marriage. Cheng Yanchuan's design, I can make it selected again. Jining calmly threw away the trash. I left him because I didn't want his life to be riddled with holes because of me. I will never make such a deal with you to insult the person I love. He's so young and talented, and someone like you can't stand in his way. She looked at him disdainfully. Mr. Meng, if you have any other tricks, just come at me. At least in my world, being despicable isn't a pass, not by a long shot. She ran upstairs, leaving Meng Jun leaning against his car, watching her window quietly while finishing a cigarette. He came from an affluent background, had a successful career, and was successful in his love life. Being unable to obtain what he wanted was a very unfamiliar feeling for him. Of course, he still had many tricks up his sleeve. If he really used them, Jining might not be able to withstand them all. But he knew he had already lost. If she remained stubborn and proud like this, he would never get her. But if she yielded, she wouldn't be herself anymore, and his love would have nowhere to go. With the money from selling the house, Jining acquired a small resort in the spa town, turning it into a small nursing home primarily for the elderly. Jining had experience caring for the elderly and was meticulous. She trained several employees in nursing and nutrition through professional training, and they took care of the elderly so well that they didn't want to leave. Such a place was unique in the city, and business quickly picked up. She changed all her contact information, and she didn't know if Qing Yanchuan had ever tried to find her. During the autumn outings, the nursing home occasionally served some food and beverage business. One day at noon, an unexpected guest was brought in by the waitress. Chao Wenwen had lost a lot of weight, dressed in designer clothes, stood in front of Ji Ning and sneered. No wonder Zhang Sudong insisted on holding the company event in the spa town. Turns out someone's been bewitching him here. Ji Ning remained calm, her gaze falling on Chao Wenwen's flat stomach. What are you looking at? I didn't have an abortion. I just didn't have the child myself. Chao Wenwen's eyes shimmered with tears. Zhang Sudong has chromosomal issues. The child couldn't survive. Ji Ning lowered her eyes. We don't entertain guests here. Miss Chao, please go to the lobby. Still acting high and mighty. You've gone from a housewife to a senior maid. What's there to be proud of? Chao Wenwen sat down, her eyes intoxicated. It was the same at Teacher Ji's house before. We would discuss topics passionately, and you, knowing nothing, would bring out desserts to seek favor. Everyone liked Senior Zhang, but he was taken away by Teacher to favor you. You got a benefit but still acted coy, always putting on the airs of a princess who's been favored. Why do you think you're entitled to everything? Do you have the aura of a heroine? I'm going to snatch him away from you. I want you to know that you'll lose too. You'll end up just as pathetic. You're no nobler than anyone else. Ji Ning pondered for a moment before saying, Chao Wenwen, do you genuinely like Zhang Sudong, or are you just trying to hurt me? Chao Wenwen fell silent. Ji Ning smiled. Everyone has desires, but when it comes to being human, it's best to maintain some dignity. A face driven by desire truly lacks any beauty. She got up and went about her business. Chao Wenwen sat there in a daze, tears streaming down her face as she laughed bitterly. Even if she managed to snatch him away, she would still end up defeated. Late at night, Ji Ning found it difficult to sleep. Chao Wenwen's words had deeply affected her. Was her adherence to non-contention a sign of nobility or weakness? All those self-righteous withdrawals and sacrifices in her relationships, were they truly selfless or just avoidance? When winter came, Grandma Cheng, regardless of past grievances, also moved into the nursing home. Ji Ning personally took care of everything, providing meticulous care. One afternoon, as she passed by the courtyard, she heard Grandma Cheng reprimanding someone sternly. You know Xiao Chuan has been sensible since he was little, enduring a lot of hardships. How can you, as his mother, treat him like this? Coming here to interfere with the young couple? Making my grandson lose heart and go to Tibet to work as a laborer? Even Cheng's mother regretted, hanging her head in shame. Cheng's father patted her hand apologetically. Ji Ning was alarmed and tried to slip away, but Grandma Cheng shouted, Don't run. Come over and listen together. Cheng's sister-in-law, Hu Jinglan, smiled and pulled her over to sit. At my age, I've come to understand that the most important thing in life is to live a comfortable life in the coming days. What day could be more comfortable than being with the person you love? What if the woman is a few years older? What if she doesn't have children? People have relationships regardless of age or gender, so what hurdles do you have to overcome? Grandma Cheng pounded the armrest of the chair with frustration. The last sentence was directed at Ji Ning. Everyone in the room looked at her, and she blushed and dared not lift her head. Cheng's older brother coaxed Grandma Cheng away. Hu Jinglan smiled knowingly. I think Grandma is right. What do you think? What's better for him than being with the person he loves? Jining was surprised, and Hu Jinglan smiled knowingly. The Cheng family has a good family background, and men are all romantic. If you had entrusted your true feelings to someone unworthy before, it's unreasonable to be stingy with my brother now. Hu Jinglan got up and handed her a piece of paper. This is Yanchuan's address in Ali. This new year. He's probably going to spend it at the construction site. Half a month later, Jining got off the train at the Ali station. The high-altitude reaction made her dizzy and disoriented as she looked around. Cheng Yanchuan was notified by his sister-in-law to come here to pick someone up, but she didn't mention who it was, which made him irritated and impatient. When he raised his eyes and saw Jining, he froze in place. Jining felt a bit nervous. Was he still angry? Did he think he was being played again? Was his feelings still the same as before? The two stood there, staring blankly at each other. A freight train passed by from the middle, blocking their line of sight. The train moved neither fast nor slow, and finally passed. But by then, Jining couldn't see Cheng Yanchuan anymore. Feeling a chill in her heart, Jining heard hurried footsteps coming from the other side. She barely had time to turn around before she was pulled into a warm embrace. Cheng Yanchuan's body was slightly sweaty, his breathing rapid. His arms wrapped tightly around Jining, making it hard for her to breathe, her face buried in his hair. For a long time, he didn't let go. Jining gently spoke up, Yanchuan. Don't say anything. I'm afraid I'll wake up from this dream. Jining's nose tingled, her vision blurred. She let go of her suitcase, raised her hand, and hugged him back. When spring came, Jining and Cheng Yanchuan had a grassland wedding. The last time she got married, Ji's father was unwell, and everything was rushed. Jining didn't even wear a wedding dress. This time, she didn't plan to have a grand ceremony either, but someone kept tempting her with wedding dress catalogs. Which woman didn't want to wear a wedding dress at least once? 2 nights ago, there was a heavy rain, and the venue, which had been set up early, was fresh and full of spring. The pastor and the groom were waiting at the end of the red carpet. Jining took a deep breath and, holding her bouquet, stepped onto the red carpet. Oops, she thought bitterly. The red carpet was soaked with water, like mud, and her wedding shoes sank deeply with every step, making it difficult for her to walk. Seeing her hesitate and stop, Cheng Yanchuan's handsome face turned pale, his eyes anxious and flustered. He was about to come over to carry her. Jining looked up and smiled at him. Her smile was so playful and beautiful that Cheng Yanchuan froze in place. Jining lifted her skirt, took off her high heels, and smiled as she walked barefoot towards him step by step. Cheng Yanchuan relaxed, watching her smiling foolishly, his eyes intoxicated. He stepped forward and lifted her high, tilting his head to kiss her lips. The guests, who had previously speculated and been curious about this marriage, couldn't help but be deeply moved at this moment. Love could be seen after all. The sunlight shone on the dewdrops, creating countless tiny rainbows. Everyone had the possibility of happiness, as long as they remained sincere in love and had the courage to forge ahead.